welcome back to another video. How are y'all doing today? You know, I have to ask, have you looked in the mirror today and told yourself that you're beautiful? If not, stop this video, go ahead and do that, come back, and then we can get started.
Yes, so in this video, we're going to be talking about how we networked throughout fourth year, towards the end of third year and fourth year, to make ourselves competitive for residency. In our last video, you guys saw what our step 1 scores and step 2 scores were, and so it was really, really important if you had similar scores or maybe below average scores to network. Yes. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video.
Yes, we got so many questions about that too. Like in that video, they're like, okay, I'm in the same boat. So how'd you network? How you network?
Yeah.
So we always get so many questions about networking, and so we're like, we definitely need to make a video about this.
Yeah.
Because we had already planned to, but y'all just like reaffirmed that. So yeah, networking. What is networking? It's talking to people, getting your name out there, having people talk about you, telling people what you've done, what you've accomplished, just being personable with people. Just leaving a good taste in people's mouths because they're all going to be talking about you regardless. So you want to make sure they have good things to say.
Yeah.
And so for me, once I decided that OB was for me, I was like, okay, so I need to have an advisor, I need to have a mentor, and then our school already makes us get advisors, like towards the end of third year anyway, and so I had already been talking to the lady that I chose prior to that, so she became like my official advisor for application season. And then one of my mentors who I've been doing research with during third year, and even, did I do research? I think second year, I started doing research with her second year, and we just kept that relationship up, and so she was like my mentor, and so I went to her for advice and things like that. And so I feel like those are like my biggest ones. And then when I really decided OB, I went to go talk to the program director, which everybody should do. Once you realize what specialty you want to go to, talk to that program director at your school if you have a specialty that you want to do at your school. If you don't, it's going to be a little bit harder, but you can just connect with other program directors or other people who are in that specialty. But I would highly recommend talking to your program director for the specialty you want to do, because not only if you want to stay at your home program, but they also know people at other institutions, and so they can help you as well to see if you're competitive or not. And so once I knew what my step 1 score was and like my NBMEs, like I just laid it out all on the floor for her, and we had like a long conversation. It was great to like for her to get to know me, for me to get to know her, so I would highly recommend that. But yeah, so one of my mentors was through research, the other one I just met her during like rotations, and we got cool, and I looked up to her for like advice and stuff like that. And then during fourth year, the attendings who I worked with during the rotations, they became my mentors, and I got advice from them. I'm a friendly person, and so I talk to people a lot, and like I'm real chill and like low key, but I'm a ha kiki. Like we're gonna chat it up like in a professional way, of course, but like I like to talk to people and get to know people, and so like they like that about me, and that was inviting to them, and so we were able to like talk about more, and then they would ask me more questions, and then that would give me the opportunity to ask them more questions. So we kind of just built the relationship that way. So I guess like the takeaway is like, don't be like intimidated to talk to your attendings, and don't be intimidated to talk to people who are going into your specialty, even residents as well. They're extremely helpful. Just like talk to people, let them know who you are, let them know what you're interested in, and like they will lead you to the right places. So
yeah, for me, I feel like a part of my journey, I had people in anesthesia, maybe like applying into anesthesia during my pediatric rotation, which was like November of 2019. I kind of remembered that he was applying to anesthesia just randomly. And so when I chose anesthesia officially in February 2020, I actually reached out to that student, and I was like, when you were applying, who did you talk to? Who did you feel like were really cool attendings to speak with and like connect with? Residents that you felt like were helpful to you on the journey. Let me tap into those resources that I don't want to do all the legwork again or reinvent the wheel. And so he sent me like a list of people who he felt like were his closest mentors. I reached out to a few people at that time, and one of the mentors that he had told me about, she already had a lot of mentees, so she was like, hey, I'm actually full, so sorry, but if you do want someone, I would, recommend this person. And so in addition to emailing her, I emailed like a few other people, and I actually was able to reach out and set up meetings with those people. And so one of my mentors currently, I actually reached out to him, and he told me, or I guess one of my female mentors, I reached out to her, we set up a meeting, and she was like, hey, just come to Grand Rounds, and you can chat with this person, that person, and I'm just gonna like, just follow me around for the day. And that was cool. And then I scheduled a meeting with the PD for anesthesia, and I came in with my resume, and everything like that. And he was just like, actually, I know that you met with somebody else. So tell me what she told you about your application, like what she felt like you should do, and then I'll kind of add it from there. And so we kind of like built that relationship over time. I came in very confident. I was like, listen, I know that I want to do anesthesia because of X, Y, and Z. I feel like my step 1 score isn't that great, but I feel like I'm going to work really hard to make sure that I do well on step 2. What do you think? If you were looking at my application, what would make you hesitant about my application? And that's how I kind of approached it. And I think over time, like from what I've heard about how he talks about me and like how other people speak about me, they really like the confidence. That was something that was very that stood out to them. Like my proactiveness and my confidence was something that, even though I was low-key faking it, like you gotta fake it till you make it. And so I was definitely like trying to be, myself in the room, but also very like sure of myself. Even if I was doubting myself, they didn't know that. And so just sending those emails, making sure people see you face to face. If right now people are apprehensive about COVID, scheduling Zoom calls, like do what you have to do so they see you face to face, or get your face in the picture somehow, some way, send a headshot, chat, I don't know, but like make sure that you're being very assertive and very forward with what you want out of this relationship. If you want a mentor, ask them, do you feel comfortable being my mentor? I don't have anyone that can guide me throughout this process. Do you feel comfortable with that? And if they say yes, that's perfect. Most of them will say yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, most doctors want to help you.
Yeah.
Like, they want to help you succeed, especially those of color and minorities. Like, they really want to help you succeed. And so they're going to do whatever they can to help you do that. But you have to know what you want.
Yeah.
And so, like, you have to go in. You can't just, like, when we both met with our program directors, like, we went in intentional.
Yes.
We knew what the purpose of the meeting was. And, like, even for when I went to go meet with the PD at our school, like, I went in knowing my application, knowing what I wanted, knowing what I was looking for in residency programs. And I went in there just to see how competitive I was and, like, how many programs she thinks I should apply to. Like, from her personal experience, like, what she would be looking for as a program director for a resident for her program, like, and that could be similar to like other program directors. So you need to know what you're going in there for. I mean, we still had an amazing conversation and like talked for like hours, but it was because I knew what the intention was going in, and so I knew what I wanted to talk about, and everything else was just a cherry on top. Exactly. But like, you want to make sure you know what you want. You want to know why you're doing what you want to do, why you're doing that specialty, because they're gonna ask you.
Yeah.
You need to know your application. You need to know how many research projects you've had. You need to know your scores. Like, you need to know how you need to kind of have an idea of how competitive you are going in, and then just ask them for other advice, if that makes sense.
Honestly, I would say prepare for it almost like a mini interview.
Yeah.
They don't know you, so they're gonna ask you all these questions about yourself, and you need to come off confident and like well versed in your application, like she said. And then also like with the PD, I had the intention of just networking with him in that sense of like, you need to know my face because I want to come here. I made it very clear that I want to come to Houston, so what's up? And so with another mentor that I had, or I guess connection that I had, I went in there asking her if she had any research opportunities I could like hop on. And so that was how I kind of got research opportunities through her and was able to connect with other residents and like hop onto their research stuff. So like that was like the gateway to a lot of opportunities that I had in the future. It's just about having
reaching out. You have to take the initiative. Like, we preach about this all the time, but like, send that email. Like, reach out to that person who may have their, like, just network and like take the initiative to do things, because that's how I met my mentor, who I have like 5 research projects with. Like, I was like, okay, this is what I'm interested in. Like the field of OB that I was interested in like high maternal mortality rates amongst African Americans. I emailed the residency research coordinator and I was like, this is what I'm interested in. Do you have any attendings or residents or fellows working on these projects? She was like, I got you a fellow, and a fam, here's her name, reach out to her. I sent her that email, and like, I can go to my house and everything, like, and now I have that relationship forever. And she was like an amazing and instrumental like component of all of this. No, but like literally when I called her and told her that I matched, like we were both crying on the phone. So and that's the thing, like, she has played a role in more ways than I could have imagined and that I wanted initially. Initially, it was just research, but then she helped me during my interview season. Then she helped me talk to other program directors, like other residents who went to the program that I was interested in going to. So you never know where one person can lead you and like how instrumental they can be in your journey. And then in terms of talking to people from other schools, so I was very interested in staying in Houston, but I knew that I was also interested in going to the West Coast. And so I wanted to kind of like play both of my cards.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to those programs that I was interested in.
Directly.
I sent emails to program directors. I sent emails to residents. I was able to get some resident contacts, and I texted them if they had their number on the sheet. I emailed them, and they will respond. I think I emailed them first, and then they were like, "Oh, just text me. Here's my number." So, and I did that to about like 5 or 6 residents, and I got responses from all of them. And we had amazing conversations. So, and I got help during interview season from them as well.
Yeah.
So, like, reach out to people.
I think during COVID, so many people wanted to help out, and so there was this sheet, and we're in this group, and there was a sheet where residents actually put their information on there, and from various schools, various specialties, and like, of course, you narrow it down to your specialty, and like seeing how I have connections with people from freaking Chicago or New York or LA or whatever, like that, you probably wouldn't have felt as comfortable had you not had access to those emails, but like those things may come up, and you have to kind of like seek those opportunities out. If you don't have like an Excel sheet that someone curates, in your class, maybe just reaching out to PDs and asking them if they have any residents, like any information
and
that they
will.
have. And
they will. They will be, oh yeah, we have a few, like here's their contact.
Yes.
Reach out to them. Webinars that are happening, all these Zoom meetings and like interest meetings for certain specialties and programs, like they all usually give their contact information. Like take advantage of those things. If you go to a conference, write down people's information. Like whatever you go to, if you go to like a research symposium, like anywhere where you can meet people and network, do it and actually follow up with it. Don't just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna text you, I'm gonna call you. No, actually do it because it can be really helpful.
Yeah, for me, I went to a virtual conference, an anesthesia conference last year towards like October-ish, and I actually set up like a 15-minute meeting with like an important person at Emory during that time, and we talked it up, but I had my elevator speech ready. Like I actually, like it was like a mini interview. If I were to get into Emory, or if I had gotten into Emory, like I would have been a person I would have reached out to once I, established myself there, because that's the connection that I wouldn't have had beforehand. So yeah, just reaching out to people, being proactive is gonna get you further than you think. But also with my mentor, I ended up like, because I think about her often, like she's like my mother in anesthesiology, like I ended up realizing that I would reach out to her like once a month, and she would always be like, I was just thinking about you, so happy to hear from you, They might be busy, but if you reach out to them and establish that, like they're gonna remember that, because not a lot of people have it, and some people feel like it's just a very like take or give relationship, and it should be where you reach out to them and just check in on them and see how they're doing on a personal level if you have that relationship with them. Some people just have professional relationships, and that's okay too, but the people who really will vouch for you are people who you connect with the most. And so just don't underestimate being yourself and like just showcasing your personality, because that's what's going to attract people to you when it's going to want them to help you in the future.
And it's crazy because like everybody will like, for me personally, I'd be like, you're good at talking to people, like you're good at interviewing, you're so personable, and I'd be like, yeah, I guess. But like you never really think about those things. But I feel like during interview season, like it really became apparent, like, oh yeah, girl, like you really can just talk to anybody and like hold a conversation and like show your personality while also being professional, and like you can really showcase your abilities, your strengths, your passions, and your desires, and you can communicate that effectively. And people notice that, and like it makes them more intrigued and more interested. And so when I'm having conversations with like PDs and people who typically I would be nervous to talk to, like all the nerves go away because I'm just being my 100% authentic self. And so when I tell people like my biggest advice for interviews and applying for residency is really be yourself. Like don't try to put on a front. Don't try to be who you think you should be to get into that specialty. Yeah. Be yourself, and you will truly end up where you're supposed to be. So
that's facts. Like I 100% agree with that, because honestly, after like the first or second interview during residency, I wasn't nervous anymore, because I put it in the perspective of like these are just people trying to get to know me, and I felt like I'm confident in who I am. My application speaks for itself. You're using me an interview invite because you thought that you thought that I was a solid applicant. So I'm here to prove to you that yes, I am a solid applicant. Like what do you mean? So yeah, that's pretty much.
Those are gems, I guess. We've been dropping gems throughout this whole thing. So just pick them up where you can.
But yeah, be proactive, be intentional, be very direct with what you want, and go get it. It's waiting for you. The opportunity is yours. Just claim it for yourself. So yeah. Hopefully you get some gems from this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share with a friend.
Or two.
Or 10. And we will see you on our next video.
Bye.
Bye.